delay on the line. Sorry about that, but it's good to speak to you. First of all, then, I just want to get a little bit of an insight on what these figures that have come out today show us, then, Steve.
Okay. Well, the Institute of the Motor Industry's research has shown that, maybe surprisingly, looking specifically at your region, Birmingham and the surrounding area, 67% of parents would not want their children to learn a trade. And around about 13%, which is a bit less than the national picture, of parents said they wouldn't want their children to go into a trade such as plumbing, building, or engineering, but probably even worse from an automotive retail perspective is that only about 9% of parents said they would aspire to their children coming into that trade. But I think all of this is based on a lot of historical misconceptions, and I think people believe that this is a sort of hard and fast either or. If you take on a trade, you're never going to get your degree or whatever. And actually, that's wrong, because talking specifically about the automotive retail sector, which is my background, if you start as an automotive apprentice, it's a brilliant grounding. You're going to be earning money. You're not going to be incurring debt. But that doesn't mean to say that you're going to be an automotive technician or a salesman or whatever kind of apprenticeship you do for the rest of your life. That's just an entry into the business. The Institute of the Motor Industry, amongst other things, is an awarding organisation, and we offer around 350 qualifications and a wide range of accreditations, which can take people all the way to degree level and beyond. So, it's actually a very realistic alternative for somebody who's maybe just got their GCSE results and looking for a way forward. That actually financially makes a lot more sense.
Well, Steve, you've been in the motor industry for nearly 4 decades, so a very long time. Do you think that it's quite worrying that only 2/3 of parents, well, they would say that they wouldn't encourage their children to learn a trade at all? Do you think that's quite worrying?
I think it's worrying, but also understanding. We've had for the last 20 years or so, successive governments have drummed it into everybody that the way forward is to do your A-levels and go to university. Now there's across all parties, there's a shift. And there is a very, very strong head of steam behind the vocational route and apprenticeships in particular, because it's recognised that, an awful lot of graduates come out and can't find jobs, and actually it makes sense to have a balance in the economy. And like I said, it does not preclude you from going on to take those higher qualifications at a later stage. So I think, when, collectively we're all turning around a big tanker here, but I'm encouraged by the fact that there's this massive cross-party support for the vocational route.
For those who do not know what the automotive sector is and what it offers to young students, can you explain this at all?
Yeah, of course. The automotive sector, and I'm talking here about automotive retail specifically. Obviously the Midlands is the centre for automotive manufacturing as well, and that's pretty well known. But it's also a very, very strong, very strongly represents our sector as well. The automotive retail side. Of around about 11,000 automotive retail apprenticeships being undertaken nationally, around about 1,250 of those are being undertaken currently in your region. And that's not surprising, because there are some fantastic offers available from manufacturers like schemes like Jaguar Land Rover, and from some of the big operators like Arnold Clark and Babcock and people like that. The thing is that our trade, it's not just about being a salesman or a technician, mechanic. It's, there are around about 150 jobs, across around about 30,000 businesses nationally. And it's a fantastically dynamic career. I think we fight with stereotypes which are perpetuated by TV soaps, Phil Mitchell on EastEnders, the Dingle Garage on Emmerdale and what have you. And that's a million miles from what the reality is today. Lots of coverage in the media recently about autonomous vehicles, cars that drive themselves and so on. A lot of that technology is already there. Cars are emphatically the most sophisticated piece of equipment all of us own, and they need sophisticated people with sophisticated facilities to look after them, and that's what we're offering people, as a route into that, and a fantastically exciting sector that's very dynamic.
So as you've said there's a lot of skills that are needed and that can be, done, and you can partake in apprenticeships. So it's great that you can learn all these different things. What else would you say is a benefit of taking up an apprenticeship then?
Well, look, I think somebody who chooses to go the vocational route and take an apprenticeship, we've calculated that somebody who takes on a motor vehicle apprenticeship today, by the time they're 25, will be between £60,000 and £100,000 better off than somebody who's gone to university, and that doesn't include the estimated £55,000 debt that a graduate will have. So it's a very realistic alternative, and I always point out to people, there are some massive businesses in the land. The biggest dealer group in the country is run by 2 former apprentices, and there are innumerable examples like that. So people shouldn't think that if they take an automotive apprenticeship, they're going to be a technician for the rest of their life. They may want to be, but if they don't want to be, if they have aptitude and application, the world is their oyster.
Absolutely. And where can we find out more information about this? Budding careerists listening, where can we go for more information? I
would encourage people to take a look at the imi.org.uk/motor careers. There's a wealth of information on there. Around about 100, that we've got something called the World of Work with around about 150 real people talking about the jobs that they do. So there's loads of information there, and they can follow our social media campaign as well on #motorcareers.
Steve Nash, Chief Executive of the Institute of the Motor Industry. Really big pleasure speaking to you today, and thank you very much indeed for taking your time.
Thank you very much.
That's all right. Take care. See you soon.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.